Okay.
Hello, everyone, and this is Anything But Ordinary, and this is my next episode. And today I'm interviewing my friend Jeff. So, Jeff, could you please tell me about yourself, like who you are, where you from, what do you do?
Hi, everybody. I'm Jeff. I've known Yulia for over a decade now.
Oh
Um,
my God.
I live in Shanghai, China, but I also lived in Korea before, and that's how I know her. I'm a grade one teacher at an international school, and just kind of a world traveler person. I'm from America, grew up in Texas, and yeah, that's me.
Oh my God, you're from Texas? Are you
I'm
from the
from
gun
Texas.
state?
Yeah.
Do you miss your guns?
I've never had. I have fired guns before, and I will admit that it is very enjoyable to fire guns. I like
Right.
it. It feels. I get the. I understand why people have the obsession with guns. You feel powerful when you shoot a gun, but I honestly I hate guns, and I would never want to own one in my life.
Yeah, it's kind of weird for me too that people are so obsessed with guns because, like, again, in Korea there are no guns, and in Russia, I know that for you to have a gun, you have to jump through so many hoops that it's impossible.
Yeah,
Yeah,
in my opinion, that's the way it should be. But to each
right,
their own.
right. So, tell me about like what motivated you actually to move from USA to Korea. Was it the first country you moved to?
Yes, Korea was the first country I moved to. So what happened was after I finished my master's, I got a job teaching in Michigan in the United States. And about 6 months into it, I remember going into the teacher's lounge, and I was 22 years old, and all the teachers were over 40. And all they did was just complain about everything. And I thought, I don't want that to be me. I don't want that to happen to me. I don't want to be 40 years old in the middle of nowhere teaching and just be unhappy and complaining all the time. So I had my resume on the internet back then. This is, I'm showing my age, but back then the internet wasn't a real popular place to go. Like no one knew what the internet even was. So there was a website back then called monster.com where you put your resumes on there. And I had my resume on there. And 2 days later, after I heard that conversation, I got an email. Would you like to teach English in Japan, Korea, or China? And I emailed back, yes. How soon can you come? Whenever I can get my passport, I'm coming. 2 weeks later, I was in a small town in South Korea.
Oh my God, what was your town?
Osan. Osan.
Osan? Oh,
Yeah.
Osan is not that bad because, if you live somewhere in like super middle of Korea in a farmland, that would be like, yeah, that was unlucky.
Osan's not that bad now. In 2002, Osan was pretty remote. Like it was just really by itself. I was one of 5 foreigners that lived in that whole city.
Oh my
So
God, Jeff, you
it was,
remind me that golden times because like when I also like came to Korea and I came like with our engineers and like we were the only foreigners. Like school kids came up to me to touch me and I didn't understand and they were giving me candies, cheese like sausages and stuff and just to hold my hand and look in my eyes and I was like, what's going on?
yeah. I remember those days. People would stop and stare, not because they were scared or worried or anything, because they were fascinated, right? They were interested. Like, that's the new
Exactly.
teacher that works at the school over there. Oh, wow. He's amazing. That kind of thing.
Right? So how was your adaptation process in Korea going on? Did you like it? What just struck you first of all? Because I know that like people will still go through culture shock. No matter what, you will still have it. So for me, because I also lived in Russia, so for me, Korea was like first major land where I lived. I traveled before, but I never lived abroad. So for me, it was also quite shocking. What shocked you in Korea?
Well, because my first place in Korea was a small town, and it was in the middle of the market area. And as you know, like every city in Korea has these outdoor markets. I'll explain it for everybody who's listening. So in Korea, every city you go to, in Seoul, there's hundreds of them. But if you go to a small town, There's just one. It's the one city market. And it's this open air market. And they have market days where it's really crowded. But it has these smells, right? This Korea smell. And when you walk down, it's all produce, it's all food. That's what everybody's buying. They're buying fresh fruit, fresh meat, fresh vegetables, pastes, and all kinds of carbs and different things that you want to buy. It's mainly food stuff, what you want to buy. And people stop there to eat. There's all kinds of little restaurants inside there. But it has this smell that doesn't exist in the United States.
Right, and that's why I think a lot of Americans complain about that, because they're like, oh, it's a smell of kimchi, smell of garlic. For me, it's just smell of food, and like I don't care that much about it. It depends on where you go.
Yeah, but it was hard. But I'll admit, it was hard for me at the beginning because that's where I lived. I lived on the 4th floor in a building that was in the center of the Osan City Market, and I was like, "This is insane." And my whole apartment smelled like this market. And it took so long for me to get used to it. I loved it when I did finally get used to it, but it was really hard. And you walk down the street in this market, and there's pig heads, and there's all these kinds of stuff. Like there's dogs cut open, and you come and you just buy the meat and you take it home. And it was very odd for me. It was an eye-opening experience when I first arrived there, because I lived in this place where it was so different from anywhere that I'd ever been.
Oh yeah, that's for sure. Like Korea, I think it also changed a lot during all these years while we stayed there.
Yeah.
Like Korea made a very big jump from just like countries that was developing, and then like boom, we're one of the best.
Yeah, we were there
Yeah.
when it went from third world to first world really quickly. It just jumped all of a sudden.
Yeah.
And
And
I
then
was
it's
there,
like
we were there right in the middle of it.
yeah, it's like all the skyscrapers and top companies, and it's like, when did that happen?
Yeah.
What was the best for you in Korea? What did you like the most?
Well, I mean, if I had to pick one thing that I like about Korea the most, I would say it's the food, the whole food culture. So it's not just that you think, oh, yeah, Korean food's great. No, but the way that Koreans eat food, they all come together. They come together, they eat a bunch of side dishes, they share with each other. And like going to dinner is a whole experience. It isn't just, oh, I'm going to go eat out and with my friend and talk to them. It's this experience that you share with everyone that's at the table, and everyone eats the same food and you all share it together. And it's like, I've never experienced that anywhere else in the world. And even in China, people share food, but it's not the same. It's not the same as being in Korea. And even now when I go to like Western restaurants, I have a bunch of friends now that have never been to Korea. They live in they're from other countries and I say, oh, well, let's get 5 dishes and just share all of it. And they look at me like I'm insane. But then once we're done, they're like, wow, that was the greatest idea. I'm so glad that we did that, because we're all just kind of sharing the whole food experience together instead of just eating the food and trying to communicate with each other.
So like right now you live in China and you see the differences between Korea and China. What's the difference in food? Like, I mean, like even in eating, because as you noticed, and as you like mentioned now, the food is just a whole different experience in Korea. How is it different from Chinese ritual of eating food?
Well, this is coming from Chinese people that I know here in Shanghai. The difference so far for me, I've been here about 9 months now. Shanghai's food is terrible. Chinese food is terrible. And even Chinese people who live here, Shanghainese people will say, yes, the food here is not very good.
Why?
It's just not. And I've been to a few restaurants and I agree. I eat it and say, yeah, I've been to better Chinese restaurants in Korea.
Oh my God. That's really
because
shocking.
It's been so international for so long that I think, okay, this is just my conjecture, but I think that their cuisine never had a chance to develop. And so there's little pockets of great food, but I haven't discovered them yet because I haven't been here very long. And most Shanghainese people, I ask Chinese people, hey, where's the best restaurant for this cuisine? And they say, and then they'll tell me another city. Like, no, I mean, in Shanghai, like, it doesn't exist. So I eat a lot of Western food here, actually.
Oh
The
my
Western food
God.
here is really, really good. Excellent, actually.
So what do you miss? What do you miss in food wise and like from Western world?
What do I miss?
Yeah.
Uh, I miss a good sandwich. Korea and China can't make sandwiches. They think they can,
I
but
agree.
you
I
go and you eat them and they're just not that good.
Yeah. What's your best sandwich in America?
My favorite sandwich would be a pastrami sandwich. Any kind of like East Coast, New Jersey, Philadelphia, New York, deli pastrami sandwich. I love it. And it just doesn't exist here and it doesn't exist in Korea. Like it's impossible to get pastrami. I know there's one restaurant now. There's one, I think there's a sandwich place in Seoul called Fat Boys. They might have pastrami, but pretty much otherwise you can't get it.
Yeah. So what about chain? Do you like any chain, any burger chain or something?
No, I don't miss any of the fast food chains or anything like that. I never really liked that kind of food, and especially once I started about 10 years ago, I started eating really healthy, and so all of that kind of stuff just went out the window. I don't even pay
Yeah.
attention to it anymore.
Oh my God, Jeff, like really, I just noticed that it's such a big difference between US and Korea. And like sometimes it's not like the best comparison for me because I always compare. It's like, oh my God, there is like public transport. Here there is none. And even though we live in California and it's pretty developed and everything, it's still like public transport is only in the city, but outside, because that's actually what I faced. I was like, when I visited my friend and I had to go from that base to San Diego, she said, there is no train. And I was like, what? There is no train? So, like, what do you think about this situation? Because I think it's the question that hit me the most here. How come that people can rely only on cars?
Yeah, it's one of the things I've talked about with so many people back home when I go back and they say, "Are you coming back?" And there's multiple reasons why I'm not going to live there again. But one of the things I bring up is public transportation. It's awful in the United States.
Yeah,
You have to drive a car, you have to buy gas, you have to do all of these things, and there's no way to get around it. It's
yeah,
you can't. You have to have a car. But you live in a place like Seoul, you don't need a car. Tokyo, you don't need a car. Shanghai, where I live now, you don't need a car. Everything's fine without driving. And it's so sad, actually, the lack of infrastructure. And even California was planning on doing these high-speed trains between the cities, and it's being like turned down by voters and things. And I don't even understand how they would not want that. How would they not want a high-speed train from Los Angeles to San Francisco or wherever? It's
Jeff,
crazy.
I'm just so shocked with that. I'm sorry to interrupt you. And for me, it was like, come on, you want your train to be profitable? Put one carriage with strippers. They go to LA anyways. You know, it will be profitable in 1 month, I promise.
Yeah. And if these people went and lived in the city like I did, I didn't know anything when I was 23 years old or whatever when I went to Korea. If they went and lived in a city that had this great public transportation, it would open everyone's mind. Like, oh my gosh, this is so nice. This is so nice that I never need to drive a car. I don't need a parking space. I don't need insurance. I don't need to pay for gas. I don't have to worry about polluting the skies because I know Los Angeles has horrible pollution, just like Seoul. Like
Yeah.
it would be so mind opening for all those people. But all we can
Yeah.
do is just tell them and hope they believe us.
Yeah, so like, but I bet, public transportation is not the only reason. So like, I actually want to ask you another question, but I know it's kind of far from all that. But I'm always like shocked that almost every American that I know, they have a student debt. For me, it's like, like we don't have student debts. Like whatever I studied at UNC, I paid myself and I was able to pay. But here people even don't can't do that because it's too expensive. What kind of job you have to do to pay for your education? So people have no way out but to take a deep student debt. So what about you? Do you still have some? Like, have you had any student debt? How did you get out of this?
Um, well, you know, I'm a rich white person, so My parents have a lot of money. They paid for all of my undergraduate. Everything was fine. Yeah, I don't like how much I got lucky. It was a long time ago. It was more affordable. My parents paid for all of it, my undergraduate, but my graduate school, while they offered to pay, I refused. And so I worked full time and did graduate school at the exact same time. And I paid. So I did have a little bit of debt when I came to Korea, but not much, a few $1,000s, and I paid it off immediately. So I
Mhm.
was lucky because I grew up rich. So it's, I have that rich white guilt thing.
Oh my God. And you know what, Jeff, if I never lived in US, I would never understand what you're talking about.
Yeah, I
Like,
know.
like right now, when I live here only like 2 years and a half, and I see that like America is not what it's portraying, itself. It's like really, it's still behind the mentality of people and all that. Unfortunately, it's like I really want America to be better, to be like, more accepting, but like America says we accept, we're all equal, and in reality it's not. I see that like people mistreat other people. I see that like still it's like gradation in color and all that, and just I'm like, oh my God, like my poor eyes. I grew up in Soviet Union where everybody was equal. I studied with girl that was from North Korea, another was from Mongolia. Nobody ever talked about their skin color. Here, even though it's like we're accepting it, but people still have like really brutal things to say about it. And I'm like,
Yeah, and you see the stuff that's happening right now because of the whole, the virus that came from China. So
it revealed a lot.
everyone there, people are attacking Asian people. Like I saw this documentary about this Korean American doctor. I'm like, he's not even from China. His background is Korean. He's American, but his background's Korean, and they're still attacking him for bringing the virus to the United States, and it's crazy. And yeah, I know. I was lucky. I went to a multicultural school, but it was also a multicultural school where everybody had a lot of money, so everybody got along really well. And it was, yeah, we had Hispanics and blacks and whites and Asians and everybody, but everybody liked each other. So because everybody had money and life was great.
Yeah.
So
Oh my
I didn't really
God.
get to. I can't comment much on that, as I can just say what I see and what I think, but I can't say much about that in terms of like being an expert opinion, because I didn't experience anything negative in terms of race relations or anything that happened to me in the United States.
Yeah, it's just like for me as a foreigner, it's more obvious because I'm not used to see that. Because everybody was like saying, whoever I knew, not many people, but some would occasionally say, "Oh, Korea is quite racist." And I come to US and I see, and I'm like, "No, Korea is not racist, guys."
Yeah, like Koreans are, the racism that exists there is just like, oh, well, you're not allowed here. Like they're not going to fight you or kill you or do anything horrible. They're just like, yeah, you're not Korean, so no. But in America, it's like this underlying thing where, oh yeah, I'm going to kill you, or I'm going to say that you're horrible because you're not like me. But it's all under the table. We gotta hide it. We gotta admit, like pretend that it doesn't exist. Korea,
Yeah.
they're like, no, you're worse than me, so just stay away from my restaurant. Don't come in here.
Oh my God.
Two
Yeah.
different ways of being racist.
Right, right. It's new way. For me, it is a new way, and I'm like, oh my goodness. So, anyways, so how, like we talked about China a bit, and so I just would like to ask you, like, where else have you traveled or worked or something, just to change up the subject?
Well, yeah. Well, so when you asked me about this, so I went and counted. It took me a little bit, but I have a lot of time on my hands because I'm teaching at home. So I've been to 31 countries. Is
Oh my
what I
God.
count.
You are one of those because I think that Korea spoiled us all because I had to change my passport because I had no space to put the stamps.
That's exactly what happened to me. It's happened to me twice, actually. I've had to get new pages, and then the next time they said you can't get new pages, you got to change your passport again.
So where have you been?
Um, I've been all over South America, every country except for Argentina, a few countries in Europe, including Russia, and
Where in Russia?
I went to Vladivostok. That was the only city I've been to.
What?
Because it's such a short flight from Seoul. I was like, I want to go somewhere new. So I went there, and my buddy went with me. So,
Oh
it,
my God, how did you like it?
well, it was fun because I was young and it was interesting. Looking back, if I really want to go to Russia, I know I shouldn't have gone to Vladivostok. I should have
Yep.
gone to Moscow or St. Petersburg or something else, somewhere else that's more interesting and has a history. And it was a lot
Right.
of rough fishermen there.
Yeah. It's like,
But people were nice. I wasn't scared or anything. It was good. It was fun.
it's like, I remember what Arnaud said, because like when he first visited Khabarovsk, and he said like, like the customs, the passport control officer looked at me and I could see this
Why
question,
are you here?
yeah, I could see this question, why Khabarovsk? Like what did
Yeah,
you get here? Like why? Everybody goes to Moscow and St. Petersburg. What did you forget in our hole?
yeah. I had that same feeling. And even like I go to the restaurant or the bars, and people are looking at us just not like angry, but just what are they doing here? This is so strange. Why are they in this city?
Yeah, it's like, are we a point of interest? Really?
But I've only been to a few countries in Europe, and then I've been all over Asia, lots of places, and
Yeah.
that's the majority of the countries I've been to is Asia, obviously, because
What did you,
where
what
I live
country,
is very easy to travel around. So,
what country impressed you in Asia except Korea?
well, every country impressed me in a different way. But I'd say that like my favorite's probably Japan. I lived in Japan after my first year in Korea. I lived in Japan for a year, and then I keep going back. I've been 8 times, so
Nice.
I really love Japan. I just love the whole culture and everything about the whole country and the way people interact, the food and the language and everything about Japan. It's so peaceful going there, even in a busy city like Tokyo or Osaka. It's just such a peaceful feeling being there, and so
Yeah.
I really like Japan.
Yeah, so, as an expert in Asia, like you're an expert in Asia, I can ask you, did you notice the difference between the chopsticks?
The chopsticks in each country.
Yeah, for example, like in Chinese culture, it's like longer chopsticks. In Korea, it's this. In Japanese culture, it's kind of like also different chopsticks.
I definitely noticed Korea and Japan's difference in chopsticks. In China, it seems very similar to Korea. And by the way, Chinese people, they know, and they'll say, even though Koreans won't admit it, that yeah, Koreans are just Chinese people from a long time ago. And as I've been studying, so I can speak Korean as you can pretty well, and I've been learning Chinese, Mandarin, the simplified version of Mandarin, and
Mhm.
there's so many words that are exactly the same as they are in Korean. So it's
I
so
have no
obvious that
doubt.
yeah, Koreans just they're Chinese. They just moved over there and like, okay, we'll start a new language and stuff, and we'll become
Mhm.
other people. But Koreans hate to say that. Chinese are like, no, we know that. We know they're Chinese. It's so funny. Koreans like, no, 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 no. We're not Chinese. We're Korean. Yeah.
So, okay, what about Europe? Where have you been in Europe?
I've been to Greece, France, Italy, Germany, and then well, I've been to Asian Russia, but yeah, that's it. Right?
Hmm.
Yeah.
So
So
you
not
still
that many countries in Europe.
you still didn't visit Arno?
I visited Arno in France. Yes.
Yeah. Oh
Yeah.
my God. When did you visit him?
A few years ago, I went out to Strasbourg, and he just took care of me in his beautiful apartment in Strasbourg. Oh, I that was it. I know he's moved since, but I loved that place they lived in. They had the second floor like a loft
Yeah.
where Daniel was living, and oh, it was so fun. I played chess with Daniel. I beat him, but I think now he would beat me. I've been keeping up with how he does in chess. He's like winning the whole Alsace province in France and tournaments and stuff. It's amazing. They
Oh
have a
my
genius
God.
son. I'm not
Yeah.
surprised because both of them are really smart people. So
He's going to be a genius too, like,
yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
he's
that's
gonna
no
do
doubt.
something amazing in the world. Yeah, for sure.
Oh my God. So what is your next step after like you live in China? Do you have any plans of moving, or how long do you want to stay?
Well, I really like this city. It's pretty incredible. Um, I definitely am going to stay here for a couple of contracts, maybe 4 or 5 years, and before I move on. One of the jobs that I interviewed when I was leaving Korea was in Morocco, and so it all came down to this school and this school in Marrakesh, Morocco, and the woman there said, "Oh, I lived in Shanghai I told her that I was deciding between jobs, and she said, I lived in Shanghai for 10 years. You will love it. It's a great city, and then you'll get bored and you'll want to leave. And when you do, because she's the principal of that school in America, she's like, when you do, give me an email and we'll hook you up with the job here. So I don't know. My plan is to stay here for a few contracts, and then maybe I'll move on to Morocco or somewhere else. I have no idea actually. That's the best thing about my life. Not married, no kids, do whatever I want, travel.
Yeah, yeah. So, so I'm pretty sure that you like again, like I see your pictures on Instagram, and I know that you take a lot of pictures. So I'm pretty sure that it's one of your hobbies. So is it like something that you do on professional level? Do you sell your images in Shutterstock and all that?
There was a time when in Korea, I'd say like maybe 4 years ago, I had about 10,000 followers on Instagram. And I was one of those people that was so if you go to if you look for any country or city or whatever, Instagram has these recommended people that you should follow. I was asked to be a recommended follower for Seoul. And so when
Cool.
that happened, I had about 1,500 followers, and the next day I had 8,000 followers. It was just like that.
Oh my God.
And I took it very seriously. Like I took a lot of photos. I would do these Instagram meetups with other photographers. I had professional photographer friends, and so we'd all get together and go take pictures, and we'd talk about lenses and cameras and lighting and all these things. And I loved it. It was fantastic. It was amazing, and I learned so much from those people. I would never call myself anything near what some of those people were. That they were spectacular photographers, and I was just an amateur with a nice camera. And so I have some great shots all over the world, but I've kind of one of my cameras got stolen, and then got angry and I just kind of stopped taking pictures for a while, and
How
then
did
when
it happen?
it's so funny, the day that I announced to my Instagram audience that I was leaving Seoul, I lost 5,000 followers that day.
Oh my God. Oh
Because
no.
all of them, I didn't understand, they were just all gone. And it was like, I'm going back to the US, and then I'm going to go to China, and gone. And one of my friends said, I bet they were like, obsessed with Korea. And like,
Yeah.
they watch K-pop, they watch the dramas, they want to go to Seoul, they want to live. So they just followed you because of that. And when I said I'm leaving, they weren't following me because of my photographs. They're following me because I was taking pictures of Seoul.
Oh
And
my
so
God. That's
I'm down to, I have like 1,000 followers now. I lost 11,000 followers in the last like year.
Oh my God. I'm quite modest. I have like my what 250 and I'm like I'm good, you know.
That's cool.
I'm honestly, like a lot of people here they take pictures of nature, of parks and all that. And I'm like I'm more into insects, I like to take pictures of insects, but they're damn hard to take pictures of.
Yeah. Yeah.
Dang, Jeff, you
It's a
can't
lot of
really.
work. It's a lot of work to try to capture that kind of scene.
Yeah. And it's like when I see some kind of really good macro photography, I'm like, I don't know how many hours that poor photographer spent.
They were there for a long time
Yeah.
with a really nice camera too, like a really
Yeah.
expensive
So your
lens.
camera got stolen?
Yeah, yeah, $4,000 camera.
Dang.
Yeah.
No, no, don't tell me that. It's so bad.
So I was disappointed and angry, and I just kind of stopped for a while. And now I still take pictures. I have another camera that's nice, and I go out and take photos. If you follow my Instagram, you'll see, but it's less. Like I'll do it maybe once a week or so, but instead of every day now.
Yeah. Oh my God. Anyways, what other hobbies do you have?
Well, this whole teaching from home, I've kind of built this making video hobbies. So I have all these, for my students, I have to make pre-recorded videos. We have live lessons and stuff, but I also need to make videos for other lessons and these morning greeting kind of stuff. So I've been really focusing on that, and like learning how to edit videos and how to make them look cool, and animations. I've been studying animation
My
because I have so
God.
much free time now, you know.
Oh my God, Jeff, you're never sitting at one spot. You always learn something. That's great.
Well, it's fun, you know. That's the way that life becomes fun, right?
Yeah. Oh my goodness. So like, you know, I've been like a teacher of English myself. I was teaching at university in Russia, and honestly for me it was pretty boring. But I must say that like when you're working as a teacher from 8 o'clock to 8 o'clock, like 12 hours a day, it's just not boring, it's exhausting. Because
It is.
honestly, I like teaching. It's not that bad, you know? You just like, when you especially teach people who are actually interested in that, it's a different thing. So, what about you? Are you tired of your profession? Or I guess you're not.
No way. Oh my God, I'm lucky. If I could be any more opposite of tired, that's what I am. I love it. I love what I do. I love my job so much.
What's your
By
favorite
the
thing
way,
to do?
to all the people that are listening, you came and taught at my school before. You came
I
into
did.
you introduced yourself and your job to all of my kids.
Poor
What was
kid.
that, last year? So 2 years ago, maybe? Yeah.
Yeah. Before my going to US, yeah, that was awesome. I really liked how everything was organized, and like I still have the book of those kids that like teacher like Yulia blah blah blah. Thank you so much. I'm like, oh, I still keep it, Jeff. It's so cute.
Yeah, well, you did a great job. My kids really liked it. They thought it was interesting. They had a
Yay!
lot of questions, but they thought it was interesting for
Oh.
sure.
So what about you? What is your favorite age group to teach?
Right now, I'm teaching grade ones, and I'd say that it would probably be grade one or grade two. I taught kindergarten for a long time, and I've taught up to grade three, and I like grade two just because they have a lot of experience with education at that point, but they still have that drive and this excitement about just coming to school and seeing the teacher and being happy. So grade two is always my favorite grade to teach.
Oh my God. I don't know. For me, kids was always something that I'm like, you know what? I think I like teaching adults.
Yeah,
And
I understand that. It's an acquired taste, but once you get it, it's very rewarding because you see their progress. So it's so obvious. It's so apparent how much they're improving when you're teaching them. As opposed to when you teach an adult, you won't, maybe they are improving, but you don't see it because they're an adult. It's harder to see how they're changing. And maybe sometimes you think, oh well, I'm not doing my job. They're not really getting that much better, but with the little kids you see it and they're so happy, and it just becomes this family environment. It's really nice to be a homeroom teacher for young kids.
I think that's why you stay that young. You always get the energy from the kids, you know?
Yeah, yeah, and that's good too. Like, you know, when tragedy happens, when friends die or whatever, like it has happened to me recently with somebody in Seoul that passed away while I was in China, and I couldn't return back to Seoul to be a part of everything that happened. Going into work and seeing my grade one kids every day, they don't know what's going on. They're just hugging me and, Mr. Jeff, a new day. Let's do this, let's do that, and they're all excited and happy, and it gives me an escape from anything negative that's happening in my life. That's another benefit of teaching little kids is they can
Yeah.
really change you in that way.
Yeah, I remember also one of the times when I was working at kindergarten and like a boy like 3 years old like came up to my leg and just hugged my leg and said, "Teacher, I love you." And I was like, "Oh my God, you're so sweet. You're just so little sweet like person right here."
Yeah, it's an amazing feeling to be able to teach the young souls and see the connection you make with them and see how much the parents, because I just had parent teacher meetings the last week. We had to do it online, but
Everything is online these days.
it's great to see how much and now that because we're doing it online, they understand how much work it is. They have one child at home and they're like, it's so hard to control them. Like, yeah, imagine 25 in the classroom.
Yeah, log them all at school. Why they're at home?
Yeah.
Oh my God. So Jeff, like where do you think life will bring you? Do you think that you will like settle down at some place in Asia, or you even don't think about it, you just go with the flow?
I mean, I've thought about it, of course, but what I really want at some point is to be like a headmaster or a principal of a big international school, a school that's progressive, that is trying to that focuses on really educating the children, doing what's best for students, and not about money or helping hoping that parents are happy, rich millionaire parents are happy with the education. So that's what I really want is I want to end up at some place like that in a country that I like living in or a city that I like living in, and then I can kind of just retire there and just remain there the rest of my life.
What do you have any ideas what country that could be? Like China, Korea, Malaysia?
Well, I could answer that in two ways. So the first way that I would answer that, if I could live in any city in the world that I've personally experienced, I'd choose Paris. Paris is far. I've been all over the world, 31 countries, like I said. Paris
Mhm.
is by far the best city I've ever been to. And I know it's a cliche, it's movies and romance and all that, whatever. Paris is amazing. It's laid back. People are really friendly. I don't know where the Parisians get that some weird reputation about being rude. They are not rude at all. I've been twice, and they are fantastic. They love Americans. They love people. Food is amazing. The city is actually older than the country. It's older than the language. That city is older than the language of French. They used to speak some other Latin derivative language a couple thousand years ago. That city is amazing, and I love it. If I could live anywhere in the world, I'd live there. But as a teacher, you don't have enough money to live there. So
Yeah,
if
that's true. But honestly, I agree with you because like when people say that like Parisian people are rude, I didn't notice that. I've been there twice, same as you. And like one time I was just like visiting Arno and Jenya, and the other time I was visiting already with my future husband. And like, I didn't notice any kind of rudeness there. Whenever I feel lost, and I was speaking only English because like Parisian people obviously do not speak Korean, so I can't ask them in Korean. And they always help, always with a
Yep,
smile, always
and
were like,
people they come up to me. I can speak French a little bit. I studied in university and I lived in Montreal, and I'm okay at French, like not bad. But as soon as they hear me talking, they just switch to English. They're like, "Oh, where you're American," and then they just switch to English, and they were so nice. It was great. That city is phenomenal. Like, what a great place. I wish I was
yeah.
rich. I want to live there.
Oh my God. Oh, so like really ideal place would be either Paris or something else. That's pretty cool. That's very interesting. Because
If I
like
could build a, if I could build a place, it'd be like a really big city. I like big cities, so big city like Seoul or whatever, but laid back like Paris or Taipei, and great public transportation with really good food. Like I'm old now, so 25 years old, I like the bars and the clubs, but now I like restaurants. I like trying new restaurants. I like sitting at a nice little outdoor patio and having a whiskey and talking to my friends. Like I'm a
oh my God.
cliche 40-year-old guy. So good restaurants and laid back people. That's all I'd ask for. Big city with good restaurants and laid back people and good public transportation. That's important. I don't want to ever own a car the rest of my life.
Yeah, like I don't know why you think it's like it's still such an unreachable dream because a cousin of my husband, he just built his brewery in Vietnam and he's very successful. Like if you ever go to Vietnam, Jeff, like in Ho Chi Minh, they have a
I've,
place that is
I've
called,
been I've been to Ho Chi Minh and
yeah,
Hanoi. Yeah.
I've been to Vietnam 4 times and I cannot drink anything else except Vietnamese coffee. I'm becoming a snob.
Oh, so good. So good, right? Vietnamese coffee is the best. And there are no Vietnamese coffee shops in Shanghai. I was so disappointed when I
Really?
got because I became obsessed in Seoul at the end the last couple of years. That's all I would drink. I wouldn't go to anywhere else.
Yeah,
So yeah, it's hard here.
man.
And
So
you
like
think
really,
they're friends because they're both communist countries. They'd be have sharing the coffee ideas, but they don't.
They should. You know, we brought like 25 bags of coffee back to US here. Like we split it between our two suitcases, like with my husband like last year. And I was like, you know what? I'm not drinking any coffee here. Because like I don't like all this weird tastes and all that, like hazelnut and whatever. No, I just
Yeah,
like
yeah,
pure coffee, just like, you know, different roast, and it's just great.
yeah. I agree.
Oh man, so if you ever go back to Ho Chi Minh, just go to East West Brewery. And really, they just build it from scratch. Like, you know, Rolando's cousin, Steven, and like his partner, he's Vietnamese Americans. They just built a whole brewery and now they're going to build another one in Da Nang. And, you know, it's just great. And also, like, I met another guy in Los Angeles. Like, we were translating together at the summit last year, like, huge marketing summit in San Diego. And he was just telling me that, like, you know what? I think that I also, like, if I ever, like, have a dream, I would just, like, you know, teach English at my own school. And I was like, so what's stopping you? Like, really, what is stopping you? Like, just go step by step, you know?
Yeah, make a plan, save up, and do it. And
Man,
along the way, you meet the right people to teach you how to do it.
yeah. So, did you ever think about opening your own school?
I did for quite a long time when I lived in Korea. You know, I have some people would call me arrogant, but anyway, I have a high opinion of myself, and I thought, oh, I could open a school, I could do this the right way. And there was a place that I worked at in Seoul, in Bampo, actually, right near the river at the Bampo, right near Bampo Bridge, and
Yep.
I was the academic coordinator, and I hired all the teachers and was like the manager of the school.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought, okay, this is great experience for me. This will teach me how to do all of this. And I did a great job. And we had these great teachers. The parents loved the school. It was awesome. It was a great school, but it shut down. It shut down because the people that invested in it were like and people who invested in banks. It shut down for some silly reason, like, oh, we're not making enough money, and they just closed it. It's like, what? No, this place is really successful. You guys have no idea, and it doesn't matter, and they closed it. And that's when I realized that,
Money laundering.
especially in a place like Korea, outside factors can create whatever. Like it doesn't matter if your school's great. Things can just close because people decide, well, never mind, I don't want that anymore. And things just switch on a dime. And it was like, wow, this is the best school I've ever worked out with some of the best teachers. We're doing really well in our first year. We were making money. Schools in Korea don't make money in their first year. We were making money. Everything was great, and they just shut it down. 2 months notice.
I just can't
So
believe it. I
that's when
just
I
can't
realized that
believe
no, I
it.
don't ever want to invest my money or do anything with that because you never know what's going to happen with that.
Oh my God. I think that like these days, instead of like doing this, like in like, you know, to build this actual school or something, you can do this online as well. Like build your own like school online. Because
Yeah.
I actually came across some Russian lady that lives now in San Francisco. Her name is Maria Magilko. And she was the one who was really obsessed with like studying in US, and she gathered all the information about different grants that like schools offer. And you know, at first year when she opened a platform where people could ask her consultation, oh, I want to study this and this, what grant can I get? Her consultation was $100. Now her consultation is $1,000. And I'm like,
Wow.
dude, you're making a huge amount of money.
Yeah.
She's multimillionaire now. She's like all golden and stuff. And I'm like, what did I miss in my life? Should I also open my Korean school or something or what?
Maybe you should.
Yeah, it's the same way, like, you know, same as like you're thinking to open something. It's like, why not? Maybe like you should too.
Yeah. Well, actually, because of all these videos that I've been making, and I put them up on social media, the stuff I do for my kids, I've had actual people tell me these are better than the educational videos that I see online in Korea. And would you think about doing these kind of videos for this channel where I know this guy that works? And while I entertain the idea, right now I'm busy and I don't have time to do anything like that. But there might be something that I think about in the future. But right now, I just focusing on my kids. I want my students to. Right now, this is horrible for them. I know they're rich kids and life's great and that all these people are suffering, but my kids are suffering. My students are suffering too, and they're suffering because this is their first experience, in school, and this is what they have to do: stay at home and never see anybody, and it's horrible. And so I want my lessons. I want my
Eh? Oh no. Yes.
sorry. I don't
Sorry
know if
about that.
my I live in China, so internet.
Ah, no worries. I think everybody understands.
Yeah, internet does whatever it wants.
Yup. Like sometimes I say that internet sometimes is transferred with like doves and stuff, like an old age. So some dove got shot.
Yeah, people are always amazed when I tell them that, oh, yeah, the internet in China is not very good. Like, what? Like, yeah, it's not. There's just too many people, I guess, and government regulations on the internet cause
Yeah,
some issues too. So, yeah.
that's for sure. So
But
like,
as I was saying, I just want my kids to have the best experience that they can. So that's why I put so much effort into my videos. And actually, hopefully, this won't be passed along to my school, but I was told by management at my school to stop making good videos because
what?
the teachers were complaining that they felt like they had to, live up to what I'm doing and they can't. And
You set the
uh,
bar too high. You set
yeah,
the
so
bar.
I was like, what? You don't want me to make good? I don't care what they do in their classes. You don't want me to make good videos for my student? That's crazy. And the
Yeah.
principal said, yeah, you're right. That's crazy. Keep doing it. And so she allowed me to keep making my videos.
Okay, it's just like, it's just awesome that like you're such a giving teacher that you actually care about student success, because some teachers they just teach, oh, okay, I'm done, whatever. I'll just go out and be done with that. Oh my God, Jeff.
Unfortunately, yeah, there's a few at I mean, there were a lot in Korea that I would encounter, but at, at my school, it's a really good school and it's supposed to be a really good school. And there are some teachers here that it's kind of like they don't care. They just do what they're supposed to do and that's it. They do enough not to get fired. And yeah,
Um,
I can't respect that at all. Why are
right.
you a teacher? Like, get another job.
Right. Like you can do something else. It's not like 17th century. You can
Yeah,
change your job, you can change your profession, do whatever.
yeah, exactly.
Oh man. So actually, as you probably noticed, like my podcast is about like people that consider like, oh, like because I met like some people here in America and they were all about like women rights, we should fight for that. And I could never understand. And then like, oh, like, I'm such an ordinary person. I can never reach anything. So this is like my little place where I can live and that's it. So for me, I want to just show to people that you don't have to think like that. You can actually follow your dream and just like have the guts and courage to go on and just try to do something in life. So like that's why for me it was important to show, like whenever I interview somebody, to show that like it's good, just go and try. So what can you tell, what motivates you, so that can motivate other people as well?
Well, yeah, see, what I would say about that is I have friends back home too that they've never left Texas or the United States, but a lot of them have never even left Texas. Maybe they go to
Dang.
Mexico for, they go to Cancun or something for vacation, but or Costa Rica is now the thing in America, right? But if I'm not saying that it's wrong not to leave, and I understand that they're happy and they like their life. But if they left and they experienced the things that I've seen and what I've done, it would open their mind to so much more in the world. Even just going in and living in one other country has totally opened everything. I love so much more about the world now because I've lived abroad. I
Yeah.
see things in a different way. And
Yep.
it's because you get outside of that bubble. You know, when you live in especially the United States and some other countries too, there's a bubble and you start to believe everything inside of that.
Hmm.
It's like a fish in a glass in an aquarium. They think that that's the whole world. They don't know. And when
Yeah.
you put them out in the ocean, they're like, oh my gosh. And they see that little aquarium and go, wow, I don't want to live there anymore. That's crazy. I
That's
can see
probably the
so much
best
more.
comparison ever.
And it really, and you know, because you've lived and traveled and been in a lot of places, and it's so amazing. And the people you meet, that's one of the biggest things, is because they're from all over the world, right? And they have opinions of everything. And you listen to everything that all these people say, and you're like, wow, like they see the world so much different than I do. And you start to develop your own. It's amazing. It's amazing living outside of the United States. And I would say that to any person who ever thinks, oh, I'm scared, or I don't know if I want to go, I'm not telling everybody, I'm not saying that they all have to go or that they should, although I think they should. But if you're worried, you're gonna love it. Yes, it's weird at first and it's kind of scary. But like you talked about culture shock earlier. The
Yeah.
culture shock that I experienced when I got to Korea, the first couple of weeks was really strange and I was scared. But after that, the culture shock was this amazing feeling. I was so happy, the happiest I'd ever been in my entire life, to experience all these new things, eat all these new foods, meet all these new people, and just feel just really great as I walked down the street in this place that I didn't understand. And I would recommend to anyone that really has that desire, go, just do it.
Yeah.
You won't regret it. Even at my old age now, at 41, moving to a new country, I'm so happy I did it. The
Come
day that I
on.
got here,
Old
I was
age.
so
Come
excited.
on.
I was so excited when I got here. It was so nice to be in a new country. It's just an amazing feeling, and it opens your mind to not just the way that other people think, but to food and culture and to everything that goes along with it. You feel so great when it's all a part of your life.
I bet. I really miss that feeling because honestly, here it's like it's a bit different for me. So I miss the feeling.
Yeah, I know you do, and I hope everything's okay there. I know LA is not a great place to live right now,
Yeah,
so
we live actually in Murrieta, which is in between San Diego and LA. So like we're like 1 hour away from San Diego and like an hour and a half from LA,
okay, okay,
something like that. So we live like Murrieta is actually one of the safest city in California, which, you know, again, for me, Jeff, it was like the whole eye-opening thing that like, why should I be concerned about safety? Because I never thought about this when I was in Korea. But here people is all about like, oh, but this is safe. And I was like,
I
what?
know. It's
What?
like, well, I told you about before when I moved into the city market area in Osan. That was a really poor area, and I'm American,
Yeah.
so poor means crime, means dangerous, and not. I'm not saying that's true, but that to Americans, that's the way we see it. And so when I moved in, I was like, the first day I was looking around going, oh my God, like this is so poor. Like these people are going to rob me. They're going to attack me. No, they're like the nicest people in the world. Of course, that would never happen in Korea. You can walk down the street at 3 a.m, drunk with your wallet hanging out of your
Yup.
pocket, falls on the ground, and the person will chase you to give you your wallet back, you know?
Yup.
So it was just something new to learn when I got there. Like, wow, okay, poor doesn't always have to mean like you be scared when you're in that neighborhood, you know.
Yeah.
But and yeah, when you go to America, that's you got to be careful in certain kinds of neighborhoods. It's just the way it is. It's a totally different world.
So Jeff, when are you going to visit next? America.
America.
Yeah.
Well, I have a plane ticket right now to go in June, but I don't think I'm going to be able to come.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
think it's still gonna be rough times here.
yeah, and I don't think if I came back from America because of what's going on, it's fun. It's ironic to think I'm in China. If I came back from America, I'd be quarantined because of so bad.
Oh
So
yeah. Yeah.
yeah, so I was going to spend a month with my family in June, but I don't think I'm going to be able to come back. So I'll have to wait for
Yeah.
a while. My family's all fine. They live out in the country in Idaho, and they're all my sister and her husband and my other sister. They're all teachers, and everything's like they can work at home. They don't really have to leave their house. My parents have a lot of money. They're old. They don't leave their house, so everybody's safe and fine.
Yeah, and only you are somewhere in the world
Yeah,
also teaching.
yeah, and that's another thing I'd like to say is that I feel really lucky that I
Yeah.
have my job, that I can keep my job, and that everything's like my life's fine. So I feel really lucky that I get in this situation. My life didn't really change that much.
Yeah. Oh my God. Anyways, like, I'm very happy that you were so interested to be interviewed with me by me. So like I'm really happy that you joined me today. And like I really appreciate your time, and I'm so excited to post this episode. Like you have no
Yeah.
idea.
Well, I've been listening to all your episodes. It's very fun. Very. You guys have a very entertaining. You're really good at it. So is your husband. You guys are. You guys interact really well. It's an entertaining podcast to listen to. So I was happy to be a part of it.
Thank you so much for your time, and I will end up here. So like thank you and see you next time, I guess.
Hopefully, maybe in Korea at some point we'll meet. We'll meet up again.
Yep. Okay,
All right.
Jeff.
Yeah. Good
Bye.
morning to you. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.